Hello and welcome, David Baker here. And thank you for coming to this webinar. It's to be able to help moms to be able to help their boys with sexual purity. It is such a big deal, and it's something that every young man has faced and will face for that. My name is David Baker. I'm a pastor. I've been preaching for 35 years, senior pastor for 31. We live in Columbia, Tennessee. I pastor the Family Baptist Church, and my wife and I have 11 children, okay? 11 children. And yes, she's given birth to every one of them. And this is the last picture of the kids that we took all together. My oldest daughter standing right beside my back, her husband, they have 7 children now. This was 6, and they have 7, and they're in California. And so maybe a while before we get a big family picture. We have 11 grandchildren so far, but on the far left, Kalia, Jonathan's wife, had one baby she was expecting here. And then Mark's wife, also, Lauren was expecting here, so they have another one. And since then, Kalia is expecting her second. And on my far right here, Cody and Alyssa were dating then. They're married now. Been married for over a year, and they just announced last week they're expecting their first. So everything goes well. We'll have 13 grandchildren. So aren't they cute? Look at those. Sarah has 7 now. So, like, look, hey, moms, if you were doing a webinar, you'd show your grandkids too, okay? So don't give me a hard time for that. So we got to be able to show and tell about that. So I want to start off with this. I am not better than anybody. In fact, I am probably worse. My background was very, very bad. And one reason why I teach this is because I know where I came from. And as a teenager, young teenager, swim team, lifeguard, I got paid to look at girls in swimsuits. Not a good thing for a teenage boy. A lot of images, and you just got trained. Every person came in, you just checked them out. Not a good thing. Then alcohol, drugs, pornography, fornication. Moved out of the house in high school. Told my parents wouldn't live by their rules. Joined the army. Jumped out of airplanes. Wild and crazy. Got put in jail one night 35 years ago before I was a preacher. God's called me to preach. I don't want to preach. I skipped church and go to the beach for the weekend. And God said, "No, you're not." Put me in jail for one night. And that's my background. Finally, I surrendered to preach. Went to Bible college. I had so much junk up here in my mind and in my heart. I said, I'm not going to look at girls. I'm not going to talk to girls. I got to get this cleaned up and this cleaned up before I can do that. Back in the world, we were taught by other guys how to take a good girl and make her not a good girl. And I was afraid if I started dating before I cleaned that up, that I would end up hurting some girl and myself worse. So I went the whole first semester, didn't look at girls, didn't talk to girls, ran from girls. And after the first semester, I felt like my mind was clean and my heart was clean. And I said, God, I feel like I'm ready. Whenever you have the right one, show me who it is. And God did. I met my wife the next day, and I was walking down a hallway, and I saw a young lady. I smiled, and she smiled. And it's like the Holy Spirit said, "That's her. That's the one." And we've been married for 34 years now. And it's amazing what God did. I didn't deserve this, but God had so cleaned up my mind and my heart. God gave me a wonderful, pure girl. I'm the only guy she's ever kissed. I didn't know they made girls like that anymore. And she was pure on our wedding night. And so I know what it's like to go from worldly, sensual mind and eyes to a clean mind. And so for decades, I've helped men in our church and teenagers and men in the jail. I've done jail work for 30 years in the jail. And why doing this? Because moms care, I think, the most and realize how this could hurt their child. I hurt my mom so badly with all that I did. Okay. She's still alive. She's 84. Mom and dad are members of our church. But boy, I hurt them so badly, especially my mom. She would try to sleep and she would weep so bad and shake the bed. Dad couldn't sleep. Also, it's biblical for moms to help their boys. Think about this. Proverbs 31. Okay. When you hear the word Proverbs 31, what do you think about? I think 99 out of 100 would say, "Oh, the virtuous woman." Okay, sorry. 100 out of 100 would say, "Oh, the virtuous woman." That's not what Proverbs 31 is about. Proverbs 31 is written from a mother, Solomon's mother, telling him what he needed to do. What? Yeah, that's Proverbs 31. Go look at it. What my mother taught me. First thing she taught him, son, don't give your strength to women. It is biblical for moms to teach their boys about women. Listen, you understand women. You know women. You are one. So it's biblical. First thing she taught him, son, don't give strength to women. Second thing she taught him was, son, alcohol. It's not for kings. It's not for you. Third thing she taught him, son, use your masculinity to protect the weak and the disabled, the poor, the weak, and the disabled. Go read it. It's amazing. She taught her son to open thy mouth for the dumb. That's a deaf and dumb, someone who can't speak, physically handicapped. For all such as are appointed to destruction, open thy mouth, judge righteously, plead the cause for the poor and the needy. Sama's mother taught him, son, you use your masculinity and you open your mouth and you stand up for people that are being bullied. How powerful is that? And then she taught him what to look for in a woman. All of Proverbs 31, virtuous woman, you can take it and model after it. There's nothing wrong with that. But the context of it is Solomon's mother teaching him what to look for in a woman. It's biblical and right for moms to teach their boys about women. It's Proverbs 31. Okay. And so today in our society, there are so many things that can mess up the boys. So many things. I hate saying this. In my day, it was a JCPenney catalog. That's what we looked for. Find the bra section and check out the women in there. I mean, I hate to admitting it. I don't think I've ever told my mom that, but that's what boys did back then. That's the best we could find. Today, on a phone, what can your sons find? Everything, everything, and just curiosity. And now they're hooked. Now they're hooked. It's not natural to take a weed and smoke it. It's not natural to take a powder and sniff it, but it is natural for a man to desire a woman. And if it's not done the right way, then it turns into a horrible addiction that can mess up and destroy. And you have the friends, the peer pressure, you've got movies, you've got very loose women that will try to mess up a young man. Temptations everywhere. Okay. Now, I specifically invited moms to this. Okay. So if you're a mom, you've been around, you are a mom, and I'm not going to be vulgar, but I'm going to talk frankly because I don't see people doing that, and I think it's a problem when we don't. And so, boys, it's weird. It's when things start happening, if someone isn't there to help him, a boy that has nocturnal emissions, okay, and I use a medical term, what in the world just happened? They have no idea. Try to explain that. What just happened? A boy finding self-pleasure. And I haven't done a survey of this, okay, but there's been some people that I've been close to, and we talked about this issue, and it's amazing. So many these aren't kids that were taught it by the world or taught it by watching movies that talk about self-pleasure. Okay, these were guys, good home, good church, good Christian school. They weren't influenced by anybody, and they found self-pleasure by accident. Oh, that feels good. Oh, that feels good. Oh, that feels good. Oh, and this is what happens. How do you help them with that? Boys, waking up in the morning with the temptation, the pleasure, wake up with it. Going to the bathroom with that temptation, taking a shower with that temptation. Temptation for boys for no reason at all. Why is that happening? Most women can't understand that. And again, I'm glad this is a webinar because that way I'm not looking at anybody because I'd be too embarrassed to say this if I were looking at someone. But when I've talked to my wife and tried to get her to understand this to help her with our boys, um, could a woman imagine waking up as soon as you wake up in the morning, you are 100% turned on sexually to the height of the sexual turn on. And that's how most boys wake up every morning. Could you imagine how tough that would be? It's gigantic. And if we don't have a way to be able to help our boys to have a pure mind, it's going to be a mess. The temptations are there. We are inundated with them. I was getting ready to preach on this one time. I said, okay, I'm going to go to Walmart. I've got to get something. I know where it is. I've got to pick up one thing. I'm going to count how many times I've got to look left, look right, look down, look up because of a picture, a magazine, a person, too low, too tight, too thin, too whatever. Okay. I counted 25 times walking by the bra section, seeing the pictures, too low, too thin, too whatever. Check out magazines 25 times. A woman goes shopping and she goes shopping. When guys go anywhere, there's a temptations all around. And a woman, honestly, her brain's not geared that way. She doesn't understand. You can say, you're just a pervert and got a dirty mind. Okay. Let any man be honest with you. The temptations are everywhere. Well, my husband's never tempted. And he's not honest with you. Okay. It's there. It's out there. So how can we help them? Here's what happens most of the time. Someone preaches a sermon on it and we make a decision to get rid of it. We make a decision to get rid of it. The pornography, okay? The bad thinking, the pictures, We make a decision. And how long does that last? Okay. Maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe a month. Talked to a very close person to me, went through a divorce of 30 years, and pornography was a gigantic part of it. And I asked him, I said, how many times did you get rid of it? How many times did you give it up? He said, hundreds, hundreds. And usually, and by the way, that's the best. That's if you're in a good church who cares and a pastor will preach on it, they make a decision to give it up. But then it's embarrassing. I don't want to go forward and people think that I have bad thoughts, but yet people do. And so what I've done is I put together a program, okay? And I'll be honest, I'm going to share with you this program. Don't turn me off yet, okay? It's only $99 and it's free if you can't afford it. Did you hear that? Okay, it's free. If you're a single mom and you're broke and you got some boys and you need some help, I'll give you an email address. You can email me and I'll give it to you. Okay. It's 99 bucks. Programs like this, it's 15 videos, course, teaching, training. And why? Because to fix this, we have to be intent. We have to go through not just one sermon, but we need things we can listen to over and over and over again to get help with this. So I'm going to show you the program. And inside of this, I'm going to teach a lot of things. So if you want to take notes and you want to watch this again and you want to put your lesson together from what I'm teaching you, fine. You can take it and teach it to your boys. But I really think the best way to do this would be to get the program, you to go through it yourself, moms. Okay. Because your boys are different ages. There are some things that your boy's not ready for. So you go through it. Oh, my son needs this one right now. Okay, he needs this one right now. Okay, this is really good, but he doesn't need this one yet. Okay. There's one for engaged men or married men. Okay. And so if your son's a teenager, he doesn't need that one yet. So you go through this and you say, okay, son, today I want you to watch this one. Okay. Give that to your son or your husband, the lessons they need at the time, different ages, different needs. Okay. So if you want to see the program, it is keepthyselfpure.com. Okay. And I'll pull up that website. Keepthyselfpure.com. You can listen to the first lesson for free. Put your name and email address in there, or you can just go get it. It's $99. I'm gonna tell you a lot that's in there. That's where it is. Click on that, and that'll give you access to this program. Okay, and you'll have access to this program forever. Okay, you can go back and have this son listen to it. This son listen to it. I've got 7 boys. I'm going to have all of them listen to this, and because it's needed there. So let me share with you the aspects of the program and show what it looks like, and hopefully to be able to be a help to you because it is gigantic. So this is what the program looks on the inside. Before I show you that, moms, like I talked about in some of the advertising there, to understand if your son falls in this area where he's going to be, it's crazy. Listen to the story, true story. I was in Bible college, came down to Columbia, Tennessee to work with some churches. I knew my parents were going to retire here one day. I never thought I'd live back here. But a pastor that I'd worked with, who went to Baptist Bible College in Springfield, good guy, found out he's in jail. He's in jail. He had molested his nephews that lived with him. And I'm just like, how in the world does someone do that? And I got to go in the jail and visit him. And he's in the jail cell. And I asked him, I said, what happened? He said this. He said, I never got rid of my pornography. I made a lot of decisions, but I never 100% got rid of my pornography. He had a sweet, godly mom and dad. And what it put them through, the heartache, having to go to court, seeing him locked up, shackled, go to prison, embarrassed, divorced, lost everything. Moms, I could go on all day long and you know it. They're there. From, oh, they're just sharing pornography. And, oh, she's underage. And now you're on the registry forever. Forever. You can't live certain places. You can't work certain places. You can't go certain, you can't go to park, can't go to football game, any place where the kids around. Crazy. Those things that happen on the sexual registry forever. Now this girl's pregnant, or now your son has a sexual transmitted disease, and many of these things are permanent. Okay. And it's like, well, not my son. He wouldn't go into that. Okay. I don't really think anyone's saying that because we all know it's possible. Listen to the numbers. The Journal for Pediatrics found teenager before they turn adult, approximately 93% of boys have been exposed to pornography online. 93%. You think it's that? At least. At least. Early exposure? Many boys encounter pornography at a young age. A study from the British Board of Film Classification reported that 51% of boys viewed pornography before the age of 13. The people we're dealing with, I'm a chaplain at the jail. We have an SO pod, sexual offender pod. And when I asked them when they got started, 8. 9, 10 years old, saw these pictures. Wow, they're hooked. They're hooked. And how it messes them up. Okay. And it is everywhere. And if you don't think it's a big deal, listen what James says. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed, when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren, okay? That death, the death of a life or a family or a marriage or fatherhood or ministry or the death of their purity, it's a big deal. So this is what the program looks like. I call it Sacred Honor, the Christian man's strategy for sexual purity. Okay. Click that. It starts a course. First is an introduction, walking with God. I believe it's the most important thing. If someone's walking with God and a temptation comes, what do? You don't look. How come? God is right there. If our children develop a strong walk with God, it'll keep them from that strange woman. Okay. It's an introduction lesson, a shorter one. So there's actually 16 different video lessons here. The temptation of sexual sins, going into that. Do you understand? God warned people of at least 11 or 12 different sexual sins. God knew we'd struggle with this, okay? The temptation of sexual sins, God knew. And God warned us, okay? It's a natural thing. There's a temptation there. There's a blessing of sex. One woman, one wife, married. Sorry, one man, one woman, married for life. Beautiful, wonderful thing that God gave. But anything outside of that is a danger and a temptation. First chapter talks about that. Then the carnal or spiritual mind, the battle starts right here. The battle starts right here. Such a big deal. In this lesson, so important, I go into what's called neuroplasticity. What is that? Rewiring the brain. Okay. This is secular science. You can look this up. Neuroplasticity. The brain can be rewired. It's like I explain if you're in a garden and you're putting in rows to plant. When you drag that hoe across, it digs that down this deep, then this deep, then this deep, then this deep. The more you drag it down there, the more we think about things and think about things, it puts rows, deep rows in our mind. So that's the default. That's where we go. But that can be changed. Okay. That chapter talks about that neuroplasticity, rewiring the brain, how you can change from a dirty mind to a clean mind, from a carnal mind to a spiritual mind. Okay. It can be changed. A lot of people think you can't. Their brain is so messed up. You can rewire the brain. And that talked about that. By the way, it's a secular term, but it's a biblical position. Okay. To renew the mind, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's exactly what is that neuroplasticity. You're rewiring the brain. And the Bible talks about that. Okay. We go way into that. So, so, so important. And this is a big one: falling, getting up, and staying pure. Falling, getting up, and staying pure. Every man is going to fall. He's going to think about something he shouldn't. He's going to look at something he shouldn't. Every man. What happens most of the time is we fall so many times, we don't even try to get up anymore. We think, I can't get victory. Why even try? And they fall down to the gutter, and that's when they destroy their life. I've always said I'd rather be getting up for the 1000th time when the Lord comes back than to fall and stay down. Okay. This is going to teach them how, when you fall, how to get back up, how to clean yourself off and go and to stay pure. So, so, so important in that. Then we're going to deal with pornography, victory over pornography. A lot of times people think, well, I just got an app and we put it on their phone and they're okay. Number one, they probably know how to get around that app. Number two, their friend doesn't have that app on their phone. Number three, they got an extra phone. They can hook up to Wi-Fi and look at whatever they want. It's not the pornography, it's the brain. Okay. That's what we have to deal with. But we're going to deal with pornography on that issue and get help with that. Then cleaning the inside. Okay. We make the outside look good. What about the inside? How do you clean the inside? And that's what has to be done. A lot of times when someone falls, we're like, what? How did they look so good? Outwardly, they look good, but inside they're full of, the Bible says, dead men's bones. We whitewash the sepulchres on the outside, but inside we're a mess. We're a mess. How do you clean the inside? Okay. Whole lesson to be able to help on that. This lesson is so important: to keep thee from the strange woman, how to avoid the temptress. Solomon has told his son 7 different things, and it said it specifically: to keep thee from the strange woman. Wisdom, knowledge, discretion, understanding, and 3 more things. He literally taught some, this is how you can stay away from the strange woman. Okay. 7 different things, what Solomon taught him to be able to stay away from those. It is so important to be able to have that. And you've read it. But I've never heard anybody preach or teach on that. Son, this is what's going to keep you. This is what knowledge, discretion, understanding. This is what this is. This is how you apply it. This is how you use it. And then it talks about the law of the mother and the teaching of the father. And so, really, really important to know how biblically to stay away from the strange woman. Then, what does Solomon taught his son about women? Proverbs 5, Proverbs 7, boy, it was detailed. By the way, Solomon knew about women. He knew what to teach. He didn't live it, but he knew what to teach. There's some incredible things in there. Then many strong men have been slain by them, the Bible says. Strong men. Who else messed up with a woman? David. How strong was David to kill Goliath? Samson, strongest man that ever lived. Abraham, the father of many nations. How many strong men have been slain by them? So we go through these other biblical stories, and there's some great truths in there to be able to help us, to help our children, our sons, and even our husbands to stay away from this. Okay. Big lesson, pride. Pride. One of the things we do when people fall, we look down at them. We talk bad about them. We say, oh, how could they? I can't believe. How many times have you heard someone tear down a man or a preacher when they fell or when they messed up? Happens all the time. Watch out. Watch out. When you criticize and tear somebody else down, you're probably next. Galatians 6:1, it says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness. Why? Considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Anytime I hear someone fall, and the time I'm teaching this, two big, gigantic name preachers fell this last week. Happens every week. Two gigantic name preachers fell. I never rejoice. I never, even if they're a different doctrine, like, oh, good, serves them right. They're a heretic. No, because there's some wife who's dying. There's some kids that are destroyed. My daddy did that. There's a church that's hurting. I don't care if they're totally bad doctrine. My heart still goes out to them, and I'm supposed to consider what? Myself. Lest I'll also be tempted. When I hear of someone falling, I realize, you know what? That could be me. That could be me. That could be my wife hurting. That could be my kids hurting. That could be my church hurting. Pride, watch out. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. How many people have fallen because they thought they were better than somebody else? God says, okay, let me pull away my protection from you and let you see what you really are. You're a sinner and you can fall too. Literally, I won't go into names, but some of the biggest names who criticize other people because they fell, they ended up falling even worse. This one is the one for married men or engaged close to be married men to avoid fornication, marriage. God specifically says that. And by the way, wives, this may be helpful for you and for your husband. God says, 1 Corinthians 7, concerning the things where he wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication. Ooh, 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 what is it? To avoid fornication, what? Let every man have his own wife, let every woman have her own husband. Then it goes on and teaches a whole chapter on marriage. Really is a big deal. And so many married couples don't understand that. To avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, let every woman have her own husband. By the way, let me throw this in. I teach this in there. It's really big. Why does God give boys and young men the ability and desire to do something sexually, but then says no? Why does God give boys and young men the desire and the ability to be sexual and then says no? I've often thought, wouldn't it be great if, like you said, wedding ceremony, I do, you may kiss your bride, kiss the bride. That's great. Share the cake and the punch, and then you open presents, and then you get in the car. And the drive on the way to the hotel is the first time you're ever sexually stimulated. Whoa, so that's what happens. Wow, this is going to be fun. Wouldn't it be great if that's the time and you never had to deal with all the temptation before that? Hmm. God made it where we would have to deal with temptation. Why? Let's go. This is so big. For your son to develop self-control. Men are supposed to be leaders. The first person we are to lead is ourselves. If I can't follow me, how can I expect anyone else to follow me? I have to tell my body no. I have to tell the desires no. I have to tell the sensuality no. No, I'm not going there. I'm not looking at that. I'm not doing this. I'm not. And that helps you develop as a man to be strong. Mom's, one of the best things you can do is teach your child through these lessons here, this self-control, to be a leader. I control myself. A gland doesn't control me. I'm going to say no. I'm going to wait till marriage. I want to be pure. I don't want to mess up my mind. I don't want to look at other women. I don't want to see nudity. I don't want to watch other people having sex. I'm going to save my mind and my body to be with my wife. What a beautiful thing. Okay. Number 11, the dangers of self pleasure. Nobody talks about it. I believe the Bible does. Lasciviousness, uncleanness. When you look up those words and see in context what it's talking about, I believe the Bible talks about this. Okay, and so we talk about it. Again, Mom, you can listen to it and say, okay, when does my child need this? By the way, when you look and see how early boys find this by accident, 9, 10, 11, 12, probably at the latest. Okay. Probably at the latest. It's a big deal. So helping them with that. All right. Then a pure mind, a pure heart. The word pure and purity is such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful thing. And the Bible is filled with it. So we do a whole study on pure, how important purity is, and get them to have a desire to be pure. Okay. To have a pure mind, a pure heart, a pure life where you don't pride yourself in it because we're not better than somebody else, but you rejoice in your purity because you've kept yourself. Okay. Really, really powerful. And visualization, this is one of the neatest chapters. You think about, I'm almost done. I'm going to be close to the 30-minute time for my stuff. So get ready for questions if you have them. This visualization is something that's done in sports. Every man in sports is taught. You think of that high jumper, okay? He's got it down, and in his mind, he visualizes boom, 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 step, step, flip, back, land. Okay. That pole vaulter, got the pole, ding, 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 plant it, bend, reach, flip, over. In football, the step back, the route, the pass, everything. It's all visualization, and they teach this. They teach us to go through it in your mind hundreds of times in your mind. So when you actually get to the game, you're able to do it. What is that? Listen carefully. It's biblical. Observe to do according to all that is written therein. Not just do all that's written, but observe to do it. The visualization that's taught in sports is a biblical point. So in that lesson, we're going to go through all the things of how to visualize yourself in this situation, this situation, this situation, and this situation to have a pure mind. It's a powerful lesson. Okay, powerful. And this one is my favorite. I'll just go ahead and be honest with you. It's called a father and son war room. And moms, you're going to need to get your dad or an uncle or a pastor, or someone involved in this. It's called a father and son war room. When that son is 8 or 9, I'm sorry, I get choked up, or 10 or 11, and you think it's time. Dad brings them in after church on a Sunday night or on a Wednesday night, once a week or more if you want to, and say, son, I have been battling the battle for the mind and thinking impure thoughts from the time I was your age. And son, you're at that point in life where you're going to have to battle too. And son, I want you to pray for me. And son, I want to pray for you. Every Wednesday, we're going to meet here after church on our knees by our bed. We're going to pray for each other. Son, I've been battling this for 40 years. And son, I want to be faithful. And son, I know you're battling this, and I want to pray for you, and I want you to be faithful. When my girls were 13, we have a special dress up date and open the doors and dresses and a special restaurant. And they give them a purity ring, and they commit they're going to do their best to stay pure. And it's been sweet, all four of the girls, and it's been beautiful and sweet with all of them. The boys, we didn't do anything. For the boys, now we're starting this. I've got a little short knife. It's called a dagger, not a sword, but a dagger. And we have it engraved on it. It says purity of the mind. Okay. And then we give that to them. And this is your reminder. Hey, son, it's the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and how we're going to fight that. By the way, that's all in these lessons here, how we use the word of God to fight this. Um, and we give them that. And that's a reminder. Hey, son, let's use the sword of the Spirit to help keep our mind pure. Father and son war, really, really, really neat. And then the last one is motivations to stay pure. This is something that they're going to write down and keep with them or put in their phone. And if they're tempted to look at things or think about things they shouldn't, here's a list of things of motivations to be able to stay pure. Okay. All right, I do want to teach one more thing, and I want to make sure that you don't look at this and go, you're just trying to sell this course, okay? I wanted to give you enough there. You could go back through this and write down outlines and teach this to your kids, okay? If you're broke, okay, convince me you're broke, I'll give you the program, okay? Nobody's going to say, he's just trying to make money. By the way, I have 11 kids, and they like to eat like at least every other day. We have them on a schedule. Okay, that's a joke. We do feed them. But I want to give you something that's really powerful, and forgive this shortness, but I want you to see the Bible talks about, and we go into this wonderful lesson on the mind and the power of it and how to fight spiritually. We have the armor of God, and we go through that, the sword of the Spirit, to quote the verses, "Keep thy mind pure, keep thyself pure," that Paul taught. What David said, Job said, "I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a mate?" To memorize those verses. David said, "I'll set no wicked thing before mine eyes." Okay, a lot of great verses. We go and teach on that. We know the sword to fight, but there's another one in there to fight, and it's prayer. Praying with all prayer and supplication. Usually we don't see that in the armor of God because it's invisible. The most powerful weapons we have in our military is that splitting that atom and the explosion that that causes. The most powerful weapon we have is prayer. We don't use it. Here's what you teach them. Okay. Teach your boy, son, is there anybody you know that's not saved? Friend, uncle, brother, neighbor. Put that in your mind. Son, anytime you're tempted, immediately start praying for Joe to be saved. Why? Spiritual warfare. Does the devil have the power to put a thought in our mind? I believe he does. I'll go into more in the lesson. I believe he does. And so devil puts a thought in your mind to think about something sexual. What do? That triggers to start praying for Joe to be saved. Guess what the devil does? Leaves you alone. He departs from you for a season because he knows you know how to fight. That bully picks on somebody until they realize, man, that guy knows jujitsu. Man, that guy's trained, man. That guy got martial arts. Don't mess with him. He knows how to fight. We need to teach our boys how to fight spiritually so they know the word of God, so they know how to pray spiritual warfare, praying that when the devil puts a bad thought in their mind, they start praying for Joe to be saved. And Satan goes, whoa, this guy knows how to pray. Leave him alone. Go mess with somebody else. Wouldn't it be great if your son wasn't tempted so much with those sexual sins that could mess him up? And that lesson goes into that. It's really, really, really powerful. Okay. By the way, if you buy this lesson, this course, and you get done, when you go through all of them and you say, you know what, I don't think I got $99 worth of value, just email me. I'll refund you. Okay. Nobody's going to say I ever took advantage of them. I believe you're going to say, honestly, this is worth thousands of dollars. How it's going to help my son and my boys and my husband. It really is there and powerful. Okay. I have 8:34. I went 4 minutes over, but we started a minute or two after. All right. I'm looking at the Q&A. I don't see any. You got any questions? I'll stay on here as long as you have. Pastor, what about this? Or what would you do for this? Or I got a boy like this. You give me a situation, I'll do the best I can to be able to answer it. Okay. I'm not going to keep this going. If you don't have any questions, we'll be done. I got a bowl of ice cream that's going to be mine in a little bit. So, but if you have any questions, I want to be able to stay on here long enough to be able to answer them. All right. So what do? Okay. So go to keepthyselfpure.com. If you want this, go to keepthyselfpure.com and you can just scroll down and be able to get that. Okay. Keepthyselfpure.com. I can give you a link in here in the chat, but it's just easier just to go to keepthyselfpure.com. Scroll down, click the link there to purchase a course. When you do, go check your email and you'll have a place where you can log in and start going through that course right now. Again, moms, I encourage you to go through the lessons and go, okay, yeah, my son needs this one now. Okay, this one, let's wait a while on this one. And you, as a mom who loves that boy, and you want him to have a pure mind and a great life and wonderful grandchildren. Amen. You want to be able to have that. So much of that helps because a boy has a pure mind and now he's not going to mess himself up with that. There's so many moms who hurt that never get to see their grandchildren because they got with a girl that got pregnant and now they're not married and he doesn't even have visitation or custody or anything. And guess who hurts? Grandma, because she still loves that grandbaby and doesn't get to see him. Hey, let's help our boys to do this thing right. Okay. Intimacy, wonderful. God made it. It's beautiful. Help them to find that right wife and rejoice with the wife of thy youth, like Proverbs says. Okay. It says to rejoice with your wife intimately. The Bible says this word. Okay. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times. Okay. Question asked, where do you get the daggers for your boys? I'm going to do a follow-up email and put this in there and I'll send you I just got it on Amazon. Okay. And I wish I'd have brought it. My son has it, um, got it on Amazon and it's customizable where you can get it printed. I have on printed Purity of Mind, Job 31:1. I think that's where Job said, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? Okay. So I'll put that link in there, the one that I got from Amazon. Thank you. Great, great, great question. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Be glad to stay around and answer. Moms, thank you. I could get so sentimental right now. I'm thinking about the moms that are here with their boys. You love your boy. Remember, he's born, he's a little baby, got a man child from the Lord. but yet they get older in the temptations. I don't know how many times I've seen this locally, on like the local groups for your area, where women are complaining about churches, not ours, but churches, where they go and the women are dressed so seductively, and they see their boys and they see their husbands, being drawn. It's a natural fleshly thing to want to look at that. And it's like, I'm trying to take my husband and my boys to church, and those women are just dressed showing and falling out, and it's a mess out there. Okay. And for you who love your boys, you want them to be pure. I think it's going to be a great course to be able to help them. Okay. Even though Solomon's mother taught him, are there times it's appropriate for the father to teach? Absolutely. Yes. We want dads involved in this. I geared this webinar toward moms, okay, because I know your heart toward them. And I wanted you to see where Solomon's mother taught him on this. There's the emotional, heartfelt side that mom can bring it. Absolutely. Dads ought to be involved. That's why I call it the father and son war room. The best case scenario, moms, you say, okay, we're getting this. You go through it. Hey, honey, you need to listen to this. Hey, son, you need to listen to this. You sort of direct it. Hey, let's do that father and son war room. You're gonna orchestrate it. Okay. You're gonna orchestrate it behind the scenes. You love your husband. By the way, husbands, it's a temptation. Okay. It's out there. And so this is a great to be able to, of course, help your husbands with. But you can get it, quote, for your son. And now your husband listens to it. It's going to help him and him to get involved with his boys. Absolutely. Yes. I have 7 boys and we talk about this often. I've got adult boys, and we work together on this and pray for each other. Would you consider teaching about female purity in the future? Pornography percentage of women is higher than men. It is going up like crazy. I talked to one of the disciplinarians at one of the good Bible college, and he said it is going through the roof how many young ladies are watching pornography. Okay. To be honest, I've never been a woman and don't plan on being a woman. Okay. So I don't know what it's like for a woman, but yes, we're working on that right now. I have a very good young lady. Her dad was a preacher, very good friend of mine, went to Bible college together. And she got into pornography, and preacher's daughter married, and it ended up messing up her life. And so she is working on a course like this for ladies and for women. So thank you for asking. I don't know when we'll have that, but they're working on that. So when we do, I will let you know. So make sure you follow. Um, and so if you're not going to buy the course, if you would just get the first lesson for free, that'll put your email in the database. So if we have a course like this, I have a marriage course, I have a child rearing course. If we come out with another course, then that way you'll get an email about that. And when we have the course for women purity, it's a big deal for them also. Okay. Great questions. I'm so glad. I hope there'd be questions. That helps me when you guys have questions. Any other questions that you have? You guys have been great. Thank you for staying on. After this webinar is over, it closes and it'll have to repopulate. When it's done, um, then I will get the replay out. Okay. Were you ever taught by Bill Gothard Institute for Biblical Principles? Your teaching reminds me of him. That's interesting. I did not know who he was until a few years ago. I've never met him. I've never heard him teach. I've never seen his stuff. I've heard he has good information, but I don't know anything about him or what he does and teaches. Everything I got just came out of the Bible, which I think that's what he did also. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because some people criticize him. So I don't know him. I just, when I struggled myself, I went to God and said, God, you got to help me. And God helped me. I mean, I went from I hate saying it, but a perverted mind to a clean mind. And it's like, wow, this can happen. And I think so many times men think, okay, I just can't do this. And you can't, you really can. But it's not just going to be a decision one time at an altar. It's called a living sacrifice. Okay. When you go to the altar, okay, I'm not going to watch this ever again. But yet the temptation, it's there so much. It needs a gigantic concentrated effort. That's why 16 videos in this course, and ones you can listen to over and over and over again, I think is going to be a great thing to be able to help. So if it is, feel free to share this with other people that you know. I think it could be a big help to them. Okay. Last question. Is that it? Anybody else? All right. If you do, if you have a question, you can email me. This email for my family ministry is called Fix Families. That's the child rearing program, fixfamilies.com. But you can email me, fixfamilies@gmail.com. Fixfamilies@gmail.com. And that's what we want to do. Fix the problems with children and child rearing, fix the problems in our marriages, and in this course, fix the problems with the temptations of purity of mind. Okay, purity of mind. So if you have a question for me, you can email me fixfamilies@gmail.com. Okay, thank you for staying on. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that on a Friday night. And I truly believe if you get this course, you and your children will be glad for this. I know one mom is on here. I won't use the name because no need to, but her son had this course through our Bible college, and he said, "Thank you. I'm so glad and appreciative of that course." So there are good testimonies from this. So I appreciate that. Okay, God bless you. Thank you. And if I can help you, let me know. KeepThyselfPure.com is the website. You can go get it. If you have a question for me, fixfamilies@gmail.com. Thank you so much. God bless and goodbye.